Here's a little overview of our nanoscale sugaring operation, actually. I know some people laugh when I even use the term sugaring to describe like a 4 to 7 tap operation, but it's sugaring. I mean, we'll make 2 gallons of basically pure sugar. It's not 100% sugar, but it's mostly sugar, maple syrup that's shelf stable and is really potent. Hyper local, 100 feet to 200 feet from the house, raw sugar source that's done cogeneratively when we're heating the house anyways with our wood stove. So it's really really sustainable, really economical, really regenerative. Now, it's not economical for time, that's for sure. We grow all sorts of food and medicine, growing most of our medicine, most of the herbs, seaberry, elderberry, currants, squash. That's really worth our time. I figure pay ourselves like $20 to $30 an hour doing some of that or more. Not that we do it to save money. That's not at all really why we do it. We do it for all the health and vigor and regeneration benefits, lifestyle benefits, and land benefits. But this stuff, hauling sap, boiling it on the stove, we'd be paying ourselves like $2 an hour or something less than that. Buying maple sugar, maple syrup for $40 to $80 a gallon is super cheap, ridiculously cheap. So this is not like the other aspects of our farm that are relatively economical for sure, to very economical. So I'm measuring the bricks on this right now, and it's 1.01. So I'm kind of new to actually using the bricks measuring device here, the hydrometer. But that's really good because water is 1. And I know it doesn't look like a big difference between there and there, but that's quite a bit of a density difference, given that the only reason we got such a big change is not because the sap is very sugary right now. It's really low. It's pretty early run still. It gets more sugary as the season goes on usually. But this was filled with sap, but the rest was frozen. So I dumped off a whole cone of sugar, of water, and the sugar tends to not freeze. It's got a lower freezing point. So that's one way to get ahead and have to boil a lot less right off the bat is let it freeze, be thankful for some cold nights, and pull the ice off. And don't put the ice in your evaporating pan. I mean, if we just go from like 1.5% bricks, 1.5% sugar in the sap to 4 or 5% sugar, that's not like boiling 10 or 20% less. That's boiling, half to 2/3 less, to 1/3 as much boiling. So that's awesome. And then here are the 2 big maples that we have tapped for a while. I can already see one of those buckets is full. This Shinseki Asian pear, by the way, is now my cyanwood source for Asian pears. It's so awesome. This bore in its 3rd year. We're on a pond berm here, and you can see there's already cyanwood I can get. I can get a piece or 2 off this. I can take a bit of this shoot. I want a strong central leader because it's a heavy weight fruit tree. So I'll probably get 10 more Asian pears off of this and put it on our Usuriensis, which is super vigorous. This here is a mountain ash crossed with a Sorbus acuparia. It's crossed with a Aronia. It's like one of those One Green World selections, and it never does much. I mean, it makes a little bit of not so palatable fruit, but it's tough as nails, and it just hangs out there. Mountain ash is super tough. You'll see it in parking lots like honey locust, very sycamore. Very few trees in that category that'll really do it, like surrounded by pavement like a mountain ash will. Maybe silver maple can take that kind of stuff. Honey locust, larch can take like dead soils. So here are these beautiful big maples. I'm sure this is on. Yeah. And so it's our nano operation. It's not like a micro tap operation, micro scale syrup. It's nanoscale. Totally worth it though. So getting a little bit of cool nights in the season is awesome. You see this is still flowing, and it's been overflowing. So I don't know how much sap we've lost out of here. I've been skiing and doing other things, but so we have this nice bit of ice. So that we do not want to boil because that's all water. That's the stuff that freezes is the least sweet. Sugar, higher the sugar, the less it's prone to freezing. So I'll pour this off. We got these stainless steel jugs this year. We should have got them at the beginning 15 years ago. They'll last our lifetime anyway, or longer, and they're just awesome. It's one of those things, like, there might be 80 bucks each, 90 bucks each, but you're gonna have them forever instead of hauling around plastic, which I still do have some plastic. So I'll dump that. Oops, I should have paid more attention to talking to you guys than what I'm doing. But I clean my hands before I come out here, even though everything in here is gonna boil and be sterilized. I know I'm gonna be messing with a food product. So yeah, that's that. That's ready to go back on. They sell these locally in Vermont, the buckets, and taps and everything. Come on. It'll be interesting. I bet this stuff is like, you know, a full-on 1.5% or so higher bricks than the sap would have been without the ice. So it was good we had cold nights. And when we get cold nights and then really warm days, like 40s during the day, but maybe 20s at night, clear nights, those are ideal. We haven't really had those. Come out in the morning first thing and dump the ice because, you know, it's going to start melting during the day. So yeah, that's pretty sweet. I mean, the first run, when there was no ice as well, was like, you know, you could barely taste the sweetness to it. We use these also for picking up raw milk. These things are Premier, I think, sells them. The fencing, you know, company in Pennsylvania. One of those things, you know, just get the good stuff at the beginning. I mean, not that I could have necessarily spent 180 bucks on these at the beginning, but you know, how many times have I hauled liquids around and wanted something awesome like that that's stainless? It's just one of those things. If you can get it early so you have your life to use it with. Okay. It's starting to snow again. We're getting some good flurries coming through the mountains lately. Bands of kind of probably Ontario lake effect residual, it looks like. So now this has been here for like 5 days. It's been cold out, so I'm not too concerned. And it tastes fine, but it's in an old metal jug. All these old metal jugs are tend to have been soldered with lead, and you're not gonna really get them without that. We do have a plastic jug, and I do hang like plastic buckets on, which is better, plastic or like a little lead solder. You know, who knows? But I don't want it to sit there for, you know, more than 3-5 days. So I'll dump the rest of it. I mean, I'm full. We're going to have plenty of sap. I mean, I do thank the tree for sure, because it's giving us its blood. And that's probably a big deal. So that's important too. Even though I'm dumping it out, I do want to acknowledge that. I don't want to be wasteful of it. This is really valuable stuff. It's the lifeblood of these trees, and I will only put 2 on the biggest trees, and even that, you know, maybe one's better. All the research apparently says it's fine, but yeah, that's research. It's pretty limited compared to common sense and understanding things from a pattern perspective. Take this up to a house, but first get a little sip. And this is why we maple sugar, really. Besides getting the sugar, what it does is force you out here when it's snowing and the sap's dripping, and you get to, witness parts of life that you wouldn't otherwise get to witness and experience things that are important to experience and otherwise miss if you didn't have to do this, and kind of in air quotes there, because like so many things, farming and homesteading, things that can seem really inconvenient, are enriching in disguise, Not all of them necessarily enriching in disguise forever. Some things can just be a pain in the ass and a lot of work and good to stop doing. We've learned those things too. See all the sea berries out there? The snow was just beautiful. Came in real warm, but not too warm. It was still powder, but it clung to everything. So it expresses the growth form of everything so beautifully. You can just see every tree in the landscape stands out from every other, and you kind of get a depth and a visual you don't usually get in the summer or winter. And the color with late year and late winter now, and you see all the willows start to really turn color the last couple weeks and become the most colorful thing in the landscape are the willows at this point. And in addition to some evergreens, some oaks, beech still has beautiful color. This is a pretty good all-terrain operation here, climbing the pond berm with 40 pounds of sap not falling. It's a good reason to do it too. Stay vigorous. Don't make things too easy. So let's see what the bricks is on this, just out of curiosity. I don't really care what the bricks is. I'm just glad that the higher it is, the better. And it's nice to do a little research to see, how much boiling we can get away with doing. Because obviously the whole name of the game is getting the most out for the least input, and the less we can boil, the better. How's that? Oh, that sap is a little heavier than the last sap, which is great. The heavier the better, the more sugar. I think honey weighs like 50% more than water or something crazy, 40%. You pick up a bucket of honey, it's crazy. It's like there's rocks in the bucket because you get water out of the bees. The bees do that for us. Essentially, the bees and the freezing temps are analogous, except the bees will do it fully and the freezing will only do it a little bit, but a meaningful amount, definitely significant enough. So that's like 1.015. That's pretty good. The littlest difference here actually matters and does have an exponential effect on boiling less. It's kind of surprising how precise these are, but how much that indicates. So then I'll just mound these up in some snow. It's really great we got this last snowfall because it's just extending all of our cool storage, ease of cold storage. And this is colder. It's gonna be colder than in our root cellar, and I don't have to haul it to the root cellar, which is great. You can keep it right outside the kitchen door, where you want everything outside the kitchen door. There'll never be enough space outside the kitchen door. So this will just help ensure that they're gonna stay cool, because I don't know how long it's gonna take us to go through all this sap. Could take us, it'll take us a better part of a week anyway, because we're not running the stove like crazy because it's warm out. It's been in the 30s basically every day, so it's mild. So the stove doesn't need to be run that much. We're really running it more than anything to make hot water, domestic hot water for showering, dishes, all that, and then making some syrup with all the excess heat. So that's nice. They're tucked in. If I think of it, I'll try to take the tops off at night if it's going to get nice and cold, like in the 20s or colder, and we'll freeze a bunch of it. Freeze the water out, some of the water.